Ready? What's up everyone, it's Sean from Taekwondo-in, and today we're covering our very first book club. We're going to be going over the book, My Karate Do by Gichin Funakoshi. Oh, that's actually not the title. What's up everyone, it's Sean from Taekwondo-in, and today we're doing our very first book club episode. We're going over Karate Do, My Way of Life by Gichin Funakoshi, the modern father of karate. Now, I know it's not a Taekwondo book, so let's find out why we picked this as our very first book club. Check it out. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is not a Taekwondo book, right? This is actually just says karate. It's the first thing on the top. But the main thing is, all martial arts are just seen through a lens. So you have like the Taekwondo lens, you have like the karate lens, and then you have the jiu-jitsu lens. But the main thing is, all martial arts are good for you. All martial arts will help you and improve the lives around the world. So our martial arts book club is not going to be limited to Taekwondo. I know it's not a Taekwondo book, but we're all climbing the same mountain. There might be different paths. There might be the karate path, the Taekwondo path, the judo path, the jiu-jitsu path, the MMA path, the kickboxing path. But we all are gonna get to the summit of this mountain and enjoy the view together. So let's start with a little bit about the author, Gichin Funakoshi. Now, Mr. Funakoshi, he definitely wasn't the creator of karate. He is the creator, the modern father of karate. So what does that mean? Well, karate was taught in the backyard of your master's house at night because it was actually outlawed in Okinawa once the Japanese took over, because they couldn't have all these very tough, capable, punching and kicking people trying to cause trouble in the districts. And so they made martial arts a no-no. And so in order to practice, masters had very few students and they only practiced like at night, like really late at night. In fact, the author of this book would finish his day of teaching at school, take a nap, and then go to his master's house at like 11 p.m., 12 a.m., 1 a.m. and train until almost the morning light has come out. That's how dedicated he was. And actually, secret, while he was doing that, people thought he was actually visiting a brothel, because if you visit a brothel, you know, you're hanging out with some beautiful women, and then you come home when the light starts to creep up, because then you got to carry on with the rest of your day. So people actually thought he was doing that and not training karate, not Taekwondo. So Funakoshi's family put him in karate when he was younger because he had a very frail body. His constitution was very weak, and they wanted a way to help him live longer and happier life. And so they thought, you know, if they strengthen him with karate, maybe that would help. And so they gave him a karate master, and then everything from there just is history. So as we now know, karate's been around long before Funakoshi. It was developed on Okinawa for hundreds of years, but it was outlawed and all that stuff. So the main thing is, let's get to the current present day for his life anyways. He modernized it. So his first job was a teacher. So Mr. Funakoshi was actually an elementary school teacher for like 30 years, and then he started to modernize karate afterwards. So what he did is he took the principles of like physical education and teaching principles that he learned in the school system, and he applied them and standardized everything in karate. So before you'd learn, like masters would know like 3 kata, right? Like 3 pumse in Taekwondo, and they would just master it. And then they would be teaching those 3 pumse, those 3 forms. But now with the standardized version, everyone can learn all the forms, and then once you reach a certain level, you're able to explore up to the next one and beyond, beyond, beyond from there. So he was able to take kind of an abstract, learn something from everybody martial art and make it into the standardized system. He borrowed from judo, he borrowed the belt system, and then he developed like a first Dan black belt system and all that kind of stuff. I know they call it something different in karate, but the main thing is, he's called the modern father of karate because he took the martial art as like a mystical art, and he turned it into almost like a sport. Like he just modernized it and systemized it and made it black and white with ranks and steps, and everything was laid out clearly, so there was no ambiguity. So that's enough about this guy, all right? This guy, he wrote a book. He wrote lots of books actually. He wrote books on karate and the principles and all sorts of things like behind the scenes. But one of his best books, in my opinion, and that's why it's the first book we're choosing, is this book about his life. Because as we all know, if we're all practitioners of Taekwondo, karate, judo, whatever, we know that we're living our life along the way, right? Taekwondo is the way of the foot and fist, and Karate Do is the way of the empty hand. And so this book represents someone who spent their life learning and teaching martial arts, which is exactly what I'm doing. I'm learning martial arts and I'm teaching martial arts. I'm sharing it with you guys online as much as I possibly can. And so this book really resonated with me, and it's one of my favorite books. I've read it many times. You could probably see on the spine, it's like totally worn out, and I'm written on the pages, and I got these sticky notes. I know some people don't like it when people write on pages, and some people get really ticked off when you like bend the page. But for me, if you're gonna digest the book, you gotta like eat it. You know what I mean? No, not like that. You gotta like take everything and take notes so you can easily come back like for a reference point or a quote, because actually we use a lot of the stuff that I learned in this book about how he operated or how he does things or what he thought about certain things to live my life, to have my way of Taekwondo. I'd also like to mention that I also joined Taekwondo at the age of 15, and I did it because I had weak ankles and weak knees. They would click whenever I moved them, and I always seemed to injure my ankle at least like once or twice a year. And once I joined Taekwondo, it just went away. It was the stretching, it was the strengthening, it was the kicking, it was everything about Taekwondo made my body stronger. And now I don't have those problems anymore. So I can easily recommend Taekwondo for that reason. Now, same thing with him. He started as a frail boy, and then he became very strong. He was even using self-defense on like vagabonds in his 60s and 70s on his way home. He would walk home in the dark and still be able to protect himself. So that's another reason why this book resonated with me, because I started for the same reason. I wouldn't say frail, but I had weak knees and weak ankles. All right, so let's dive into the book here. So it starts with his chapter, Entering the Way, or like losing a top knot, however you want to say it. He is at the very end of the samurai kind of feudal lord system, where the samurai had the top knots and it represented their status and everything like that. And then Japan, just like how he modernized karate, Japan was trying to modernize itself kind of like the Western world at this time. And so he was the first one in his family to cut off his top knot because he had to become a teacher, and that's what he really wanted to do. And so in the opening chapters, in the first part of the book, it's all about his life and how he started karate, and then how he trained with two very famous masters throughout his youth and throughout the time he was teaching as a teacher at school. So that first part of the book is all about Funakoshi and how he adapted to Japan modernizing, which kind of like is a foreshadowing to how he modernized karate later on in the book. And then, ta-da, here we are with karate in the Olympics. So in Okinawa, it was all practical karate because you had to protect yourself. We'd have to literally fight in the streets if somebody tried to assault us. So that's how karate helped people back in the day. It was a self-defense martial art. And then throughout the book, and as you standardize it, all of a sudden you have kids practicing now. And so the difference is now it's more of a way of life, like how the title says, and it's more of a way of perfecting character. So more like development of good virtues like respect and perseverance and dominable spirit and self-control and all of those, the 5 tenets of Taekwondo, but of course they have that in karate as well. We're much less likely to be assaulted or attacked these days when we were 100 years ago. So that's how the martial arts has kind of changed. And it's not just karate. Taekwondo's kind of done the same evolution, and I'm sure judo has as well. So it's all just moving with the times. Why would I recommend this book? Who would I recommend this book to? I'm going to start right now by saying any karate practitioner needs to read this book, because this is like the modern father of karate. So this is like your sensei, your grand sensei, right? So who would I recommend this book, and why would I recommend this book? Well, first of all, I'm going to dive right in and say any die-hard karate fan, those karate nerds, would definitely benefit from reading this book, because you guys get that full insight from how karate went from the mystical, legendary martial art into the combat sport or martial art that we have today, but like totally modernized, right? And one of the most popular martial arts in the whole world. So any die-hard karate fan. I could also recommend this book to any die-hard martial arts fan. You should read all the books. I would recommend this book to any martial arts practitioner. We should all read all the treaties, all the books from the original founders of all the different martial arts. Like we have the modern father here, Gichin Funakoshi. We have General Choi Hong-hee from Taekwondo, the modern father of Taekwondo. And then we have Kano Jigoro, the modern father of Judo. So the main thing is that you can glean. Even if you're a striking martial art, you're going to learn something from the judo book. And even if you're a judoka, you're going to learn something interesting about the history, because they actually clash. Gichin Funakoshi actually demonstrates for the creator of judo, Kano Jigoro. The writer of this book, Gichin Funakoshi, actually does a karate demonstration for the creator of judo, Kano Jigoro. Anyways, he does a demonstration for the creator of judo, and then he takes the belt system from judo. So there's an interesting like historical crossover there. Secondly, a smaller group of us, I would recommend it to any teacher of martial arts. Whether you're doing it part-time, after you finish your day job, you come to your dojo or your dojang, and then you train and you teach, or whether it's your full-time job like me. I'm sure there's a lot of martial artists out there that are running a club or a dojang or a dojo like on their own, and that's their full like source of income and that's their life. I would highly recommend this book because he walked the same path we are walking right now. And so it definitely like puts it into perspective, because I'm sure I'm not the only one where my parents have said like, are you sure you want to be a Taekwondo instructor? Are you sure you want to teach martial arts for a living? Are you sure you want to do that? Don't you want to become something else like a teacher? Or don't you want to have like a safe job with a nice pension? Right? I can't be the only one whose parents were like that, and friends and family. So it's nice to have this reassuring book, like physical proof that someone made it living that life. And it was a good life. It had an impact on the world, right? So I would recommend this book easily to any martial arts instructor, martial arts master, or aspiring martial arts instructor. And lastly, I would also recommend this book to the students, the practitioners who do it twice a week, 3 times a week or whatever, and they love it, but it's not like their life and that kind of stuff. I would recommend this book to them as well, because they get one perspective when they come on the mats. They get their master's perspective, right? And so by getting a second perspective, that second perspective really opens things up. And then you can get the third, fourth, fifth, and of course it just gets better and better and better. But that first opening of your eyes to a bigger world of martial arts, something outside of your regular dojo or dojang, is really important. And so this book would definitely help with that. And it reads like a story, which is really interesting. It's just a biography of his life. And he did live a really interesting life. At one point, people thought he was a gardener. He had a part-time job like taking care of the grounds of the building that he lived in. And people thought he was a humble gardener, right? And then they got that saying, better warrior in the gardener than the gardener in the war. And he lives it. So I can easily recommend this to any students as well, practitioners of the martial arts. Even if it's not your life, this will definitely help you stay motivated to reach black belt and beyond. And that's it. That is my book review, the first ever book club from taekwondoshan.com, Karate Do, My Way of Life by Gichin Funakoshi. What's your thoughts? Have you guys read this book? Have you read any other good books? In the comment section, list any books that you'd like me to cover in the future, or also any books that you've thought have had a great impact on you, because I'm gonna be honest with you, if it's impacted you guys as martial artists, it's probably gonna impact me too. So if you like this book, if you like the video, if you like me, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't hit it already, and train hard. We'll see you guys on the mats and in the next video.